All right. Have you ever worked with an attorney who has a non-legal day job but is trying to increase side legal income? I have not, but that does not mean that it's not possible. What type of law are you trying to practice, Evan? Let me know like what you're trying to do, and then I'll give you a suggestion on how to do it. I don't know if you're still in here or not. All right. Well, basically, it's interesting. I was actually just talking to another attorney not too long ago. I know like 2 hours ago, and she has a really interesting practice. What she does is she's actually a freelance attorney, which I had never really heard of such a thing. But it's a really interesting, really I think innovative way to have a law firm. And basically, what she does is she works with other lawyers. So it's probably the same type of thing. Oh, okay, adoption law, but I would consider other types that kept me out of the courtroom. Okay, so and I'm assuming that adoption law, it's either going to be one of two things. It's either going to be step parent adoption, or it's going to be my wife and I can't get pregnant and we want to have a kid. Both of those are very good and very easy to target. So I mean, if you're just trying, if it's your side income, then you're probably not trying to get a ton of cases. So I mean, it's the same strategy I give everyone. Figure out anyone that's going through an adoption, anyone that wants to have kids, and can't have kids. What do they want, right? So what they want is they want to be a parent. They want to, they want to have that they want to be able to play catch with their son. They want to, walk their daughter down the aisle. All these things that they want, all these emotional triggers. It's a hugely emotional field of law because people, they want to have kids very badly and they can't. So what you're going to do is you need to create some sort of content that teaches them that basically talks about how to get the thing that they want. So what I would do is I would go to some of the past people that you've already talked to or that you've already helped. And I would ask them some questions and I would say, hey, listen, I'm putting together some free resources for people that are in the same situation that you were in before you came to my law firm for help. And I want to make sure that I don't miss anything because I want the guide to be really valuable. I think there's a lot of people out there that are looking for information and can't find it. So then you want to figure out what are their, we want to ask them like, what was their biggest, what was their number one question they had about adoption? What was their biggest goal? What was their desire? Like, what was the thing that they wanted the most? And most people, it's going to be how to get a kid, right? What is their biggest fear? And there's tons of fears that they could have. The fear could be like, they go through an entire process, they get into month 8, like they find someone who's going to give up for adoption. And in month 8, the mother changes her mind that she wants to keep the kid. Or my brother actually went through a situation where they adopted twins, him and his wife. And what happened was they ended up in a foster situation. So, they fostered these 2 newborns, and then for 2 years they were battling with the mother who was addicted to drugs and everything, and it was a whole legal issue, and luckily they were able to finally adopt. But there's all these concerns that they have. So what you should do is create some sort of piece of content, some sort of piece of free download, free cheat sheet, free video series, whatever it is, that teaches them exactly, okay, so here's what you want. If you're struggling to have children, and you've tried everything, you've tried the fertility clinics, you've tried the doctors, and you're finished with the disappointment, then there's another option. Here's how to be a parent even if you can't have kids, right? And then you start talking about adoption. And you start showing about, or maybe it's people that already know they want adoption. Again, this is why you do the Ask campaign, where you ask people what their questions are, because maybe it's people that already know that they want an adoption, but they're concerned about the process. They're concerned it's going to be expensive. They're concerned about the home study. They're concerned about the financial element to it, meaning not that it's going to be expensive, but what does the state look for when in finances? So you answer all of these questions. And you put all this free content out there and do it in a free guide or free videos or whatever it is. And then you just keep following up with content with these people. And the nice thing is especially if you do it in videos, you only have to film a video one time. And then what happens is you have this content out there that lives forever and continues to get you clients. And then the nice part about it is what'll happen is after you have this video, you'll have, since you said you're only doing it for side income, you'll have more clients than you need. Like that's what happened to me. We're on a waiting list because we can't handle as many clients as are coming to us, or as many lawyers as are coming to us. So that's what you do, is you just create free content, and you just focus on providing value and solving problems and answering the questions that they have, and then people will hire you. It works every single time. So that would be my suggestion to you, is the same thing I tell everyone. Value, value, value. All right, Evan said, I've boosted a few posts before and targeted them toward motherhood and Christian. Any other suggestions on targeting? Okay, so, well, I mean, now it's kind of, it's kind of difficult. You have to think about, like, and this is going back to the adoption question. You have to think when you're doing targeting on Facebook. I don't know why you would do Christian. Christian doesn't really make any sense, because does that mean Jewish people aren't allowed to adopt? That's not really related. What I would do is I would probably look for things like fertility. I would look for things like, what are some of the like in vitro fertilization? Is that one? I would do things like that, interests like that. And I would also target the interest of adoption, because you can definitely do that. Now, here's another thing that you do for adoption. Think about, so go to Facebook, go to Google, and look and see if there are any like adoption magazines or adoption organizations or anything like that, and see if you can target those as well. You'd be a lot better targeting them than, motherhood is all right. But anybody, anybody that's interested in motherhood, including my wife, who just joined the thing. Hi, Chelsea. So anyone that's interested in motherhood, that doesn't necessarily mean they're interested in adoption. So I would target interests that are more likely to be liked and followed by people that are interested. What's the step before adoption? It's probably fertility clinics and whatever the egg transplant. I don't know what the procedures are, but you got to figure out all those things that people would be interested in. Look for any organizations, any magazines, any if there's any famous doctors that have had like really like amazing results, different things like that. That's what I would focus on. Are we adopting out our kids? Maybe, I don't know. I've got an attorney we're talking to about it here. So that's what I would do for that.